Hey everyone, it is Nathan of Hayboard Player, and it is no secret that I love Final Fantasy XIV. And if it was a secret, then now you're in on it. This MMO has a lot of the hooks I look for in a game, and once I purchased the subscription, I never looked back, not even at my former long-term relationship, World of Warcraft. I adore the story, aesthetic, gameplay, and the community. While admittingly things have slowed down in terms of content, there is generally still a lot to do and to be done in the fictional land of Eorzea. With the announcement of the Stormblood expansion, I get asked quite frequently, should I play Final Fantasy XIV? While the easy answer would be yes, everyone is different. Instead, I usually like to identify objective aspects of the game and then have people decide whether or not it is for them. I want to share with you key aspects of Final Fantasy XIV and help you decide whether you should dive into the beautiful land of Eorzea. From personal experience, this is the biggest deal breaker for this game. A lot of people do not know that you must pay a monthly subscription to play Final Fantasy XIV, along with purchasing the game. I know that a lot of people simply can't pay $12 to $15 a month to play one game, along with purchasing it, and that is completely understandable. Now, if it is manageable to pay a subscription, and the question is whether or not the game is worth paying for one, we can continue with the rest of the video. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn mainly uses a tab targeting system of combat found in games such as World of Warcraft, SWTOR, and ArcheAge. What this essentially means is that for the most part, you lock onto a target by either clicking the enemy or pressing tab till the enemy is targeted, and then using skills on your hotbar to commit to actions. Similar to other games, you also have a global cooldown that affects most of your skills, which means that you cannot use skills after another until the global cooldown is done. New players complained that the global cooldown is too long, but this was intentional because the game was also made with consoles in mind, and the developers didn't want to put too much stress on those using a controller. I do enjoy the healthy balance of strategy and action in Final Fantasy XIV's tab targeting combat. Those, however, who crave something more real-time and twitch maneuver based will be more than likely turned off by the game's slower paced combat. Keep this in consideration when thinking about purchasing Final Fantasy XIV, because combat is integral to both the leveling and endgame experience. Final Fantasy XIV's story is one of the biggest aspects of the game. After you finish creating a character, you are immediately tossed into a series of introductory quests that introduce you to the lore and teach you game mechanics. There is a main story questline that you will have to play through at intervals throughout your game experience, and the story is mandatory for the most part. While the game is open and you are free to explore wherever you want within the context of your level and such, some content is blocked until you do the necessary story quests. However, I will say, given the brand name of Final Fantasy, XIV's story is one of the strongest aspects of the game, unsurprisingly. As you play through the story, you become attached to characters and learn more about the lore of Eorzea. It is, in my opinion, one of the best storylines told in an MMO. For those who don't want to deal with the story, or just want a no-plot grindfest, this game is probably not for you, and it is probably best to look at another MMORPG. But for those who want a rich story experience, look no more. The amount of PvE content in A Realm Reborn is immense, to say the very least. By the time you hit level 15, you are already doing dungeons, and the amount of content you unlock as you progress grows at a consistent pace. There are an abundance of dungeons, raids, trials, and scenarios to play through, with raids and trials in particular having different difficulty settings for varying player skill. There is also an abundance of non-instance things in the world, such as events called fates, beast tribe quests, dailies, and more. While some of these tasks may get repetitive later down along the line, there surely isn't a lack of content in the game. With all that being said, of course, the game has fun but very little PvP content. Now, I understand this isn't a big issue since this isn't the game's focus, but it is an important thing to note that PvP is lacking. There are 4v4, 8v8, Grand Company battles, and dueling, but the queue times for these are usually horrendous and there is balance issues with the classes. The director of Final Fantasy XIV has stated there will be updates and changes to PvP in the future, but it remains to be determined what this will actually do for the PvP scene. Overall, if you are bloodthirsty for other players, this game is not going to satisfy that, but whereas PvP content falls short, the PvE content is massive and for the most part consistent in its quality control. Final Fantasy XIV is available on PC, OS X, and PS4, and these games are cross-server so you can play with your friends even if they own a different system. There's also a PS3 version, but the service for this will end in early summer 2017 with the release of a new expansion. I believe it is also important to note that if you have an account with the game, you may play the same account on any of the systems listed above, but you must also own the license for that system. For example, if you own the PS4 version but not the PC version, you will also have to purchase the game on PC to play that version. Final Fantasy XIV's job system is one of the most satisfying class systems in any MMO I've played. When you create a character, you choose one from a selection of various jobs you want to start the game with. After hitting level 15, you can choose to play any other job you want as long as you finish the prerequisite quest. You may switch through your unlocked jobs by simply changing the weapon your character wields, allowing you to try and play all the combat and crafting jobs. This eliminates the need to make alts to try other playstyles. You can make your character a tank, a healer, DPS, or crafting mogul, and if you decide you do not want to play one or the other, there is no penalty. It is important to note that each job is leveled separately from one another, so you will have to grind levels on those respective jobs you desire. Now, if you have decided that you want to play the game but do not know whether to wait for the new expansion or play now, I will have to say that playing now is probably the best option. As said earlier, Final Fantasy XIV is heavily story-based, and any content within the last expansion, Heavensward, and the upcoming Bloodstorm cannot be reached until you complete the main story questline leading to those respective expansions. Because of this, I believe it is best to complete both the A Realm Reborn and Heavensward main quests so that by the time Bloodstorm comes out, you can start doing that content. If you are still unsure, there's always a free trial that Square Enix provides so that you can try the game for yourself, and I will leave a link to that in the description down below. I hope all the things mentioned above help you move closer to deciding whether or not you want to try Final Fantasy XIV. I do love the game, but I know not everyone has the same taste as me. Hopefully with this video, you now have the knowledge to make your decision. And with that, I wish you the best of luck on your MMO search. Thank you for watching the whole video, and if you want to see the full written article, click the link down below. Also, Hey Poor Player has social media that you should definitely follow if you want to keep up to date with our site and anything else we do here. I also have my own personal YouTube channel that I'll leave an annotation to here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.